I'm so glad. For me, when the accident happened, I had been out of the church for 7 years-ish, all the way up. Tattoos, I had all these, like, race designed my tattoos.
Aww.
Which is a really cool
That's awesome.
thing that I have now. But so I was all the way out. I can't imagine what it would have felt like to be in the church experiencing that. Like the turmoil that probably would have gone on in my body, the guilt, the shame, the fear, and any member listening to me is gonna be like, oh, she's so lost. And I get it. And I have so much compassion for it because I know I've been there where it's like, oh, we gotta save him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that. It's actually I felt the complete opposite. I'm so glad I did the work on myself so that I can be here and I can breathe. Because breath was the only thing that was going to save me. It didn't have anything to do with God. I didn't feel mad at God. It wasn't like that. It was more of like a, gosh, but if I can just breathe one more breath, and I'm going to stay one more. I'm going to stay one more time. I'm going to breathe another breath, and I'm going to stay one more time. And it felt kind of like that for me.
Free to be me, free to sing sweet feathers envelop me like a hug.
So much of our lives are shaped by scripts we never consciously chose. Patterns around love, success, safety, and belonging. And at some point, those scripts stop working. What once protected us starts to limit us. Safe to be Seen is a space for honest conversations about that moment, when your body knows it's time for something new. We talk about what it means to build safety first, so growth, intimacy, and expansion don't come at the cost of yourself. This podcast is about updating outdated identities, softening survival patterns, and learning how to stay present through change. We're Darcy and Brandon, and this is Safe to Be Seen. Well, we are so excited to have Keisha Sawyer with us today in studio. Thank you, Keisha, so much for being here. We're so grateful that you're here. I first came to know you, Keisha, through a friend of mine, your brother-in-law, Mason. Mason invited me to be on his podcast in May of 2023, so 3 years ago exactly.
Wow.
Was when, and Mason and I knew each other from playing morning basketball together. He's a heck of a ball player.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you said morning basketball?
Yeah, morning, like old man basketball, you know? Like, Mason wasn't one of the old men, but I was. And I got to know Mason a little bit through that. And then he invited me to be on his podcast. I got to know him a little bit better through that. And then all of a sudden in going to yoga, you being our yoga instructor, I pieced it all together and realized that you guys were family. And just, I don't want to speak for Darcy. I'll let you do your own speaking. But I will say that I have just been incredibly impressed with your strength. And just your story it's incredible. And Mason's too, you know. You guys are in on it together, and has many times brought me to tears, and also provided a great deal of perspective and strength for me. And I know that that's not like things like that. I don't know how that feels to hear. I don't imagine that of course makes something that difficult and tragic okay, but just know that you are a light for many people, and an extraordinarily strong and beautiful example of the human spirit and of strength. And I thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Brandon. Wow.
I want to echo everything that Brandon said. And I haven't been as intimately connected to your guys' story because Brandon has, had the interview, and he started going to your yoga class before I did. And he came home and was like, you got to go to Keisha's class. Like, she's amazing. And we had both just barely started getting into more yoga at the time. And so I went to your class for the first time, and it was like one of the most spiritual experiences I've ever had. And it was the first time I've ever cried in a yoga class. And I think it's because you're so human, in those rooms, that you like hold this space for people that has so much depth and so much realness and so much beauty, that it's an energy that I think everybody in that room can feel. It's so powerful. And so I thank you for that. Like, you come in there holding so much, I know, inside of yourself, but you still are able to hold this space for people in such a beautiful way, which I think just speaks so much to your depth and to your beauty, like, within you. And so I thank you for that. I never would have thought that I would have cried while working out. Not out of like, but out of like pure joy and like pure soul.
I love that.
And so, like, if you are live in St. George, go to one of Keisha's classes for such a deep spiritual experience. It's become our new church on Sunday. And we try to get all of our kids to go. We've gotten Emery to go, and she loves it as well. And you just provide this space for people to feel so seen and so heard. And so I thank you for that. Yeah, and we've been so excited to have this conversation with you today. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Gosh, what an honor. I'm like
Yeah.
gonna take a deep breath real quick. Just like
soak it
I'm
in.
just gonna take that and accept that
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
and say like, thanks for seeing me. It's cool to be a teacher who feels seen, who's done a lot of work and feels seen in that space. Something that I get told often is like, gosh, I couldn't stop crying in your class, for instance. I have a really cool story. There was a man who came to my class at BHOT. This was pre-accident, which I have to remind myself, like, oh yeah, like, you've always been kind of cool, Keish. Like, pre-accident too, you were kind of cool.
Yeah.
Pre-accident, this man came up to me after class, and he's very tan. You can tell he's maybe in construction. He's sobbing. He has a lot of denser work that needs to be done. And he says, I don't know what just happened. I like stumbled into this class. I haven't cried in 17 years. I haven't cried in 17 years. And I couldn't stop crying here. And for me, it was like, people are coming to give me a hug, and it's after class, and I'm kind of overwhelmed. But it was like a moment where I was like, this is just me and him here. And I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, wow, can I give you a hug? And he's like, well, normally I would say no, but I want to give you a hug, give him a hug. And it was this moment of like, wow, like my late husband, Race, used to always tell me, like, you have a power that you don't understand, that like people, strangers even, trust you to tell you their deepest secrets. He's like, I don't think I'll ever understand it, but dude, you're gonna make me a millionaire. I used to be like, ha ha.
Yeah.
He's like, are you gonna still love me when you're famous? And I thought, you're so silly. But him saying that, then this man confirmed me, like, I haven't cried in 17 years. I didn't know what just happened there. And fast forward 10 years, he became like a regular at the studio and got super fit. And come to find out, he'd been homeless in Hawaii for 15 years prior to that, and moved to Utah on a job, and just an amazing story. And who would have thunk, I don't even know. I have no idea what I taught. I didn't even think it was emotional. I wasn't crying, but for whatever reason, there's this space in there. I don't even know if it has so much to do with me, but whatever's created in there.
Yeah.
It does have to do with you.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do with the energy that you bring and the way that you were able to hold that space. All healers have to meet their own depths, I think, before they can hold that container for other people. And I think that's what makes any type of person in any type of setting, whether you're a coach, whether you are a yoga instructor, whether you are a teacher, whether you are a mother, a father, it is your presence. And it's your ability to have met yourself before you could meet other people. And there's no words that need to be said because people feel that,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a beautiful space that you create. It's very healing and it's very human. Very human. Yeah. which I think what the world is craving so much right now. You know, can I just be human here?
Yeah.
And you are so human.
Yeah.
And that's people feel free in your presence. And I think that's maybe what your husband was speaking to, is like your authenticity and the freeness that you hold with inside of your body just like makes people take a deep breath around you and be able to say, man, I can be myself around her. That's probably the greatest gift that anybody could offer anybody else. Can I just be me around you?
Yeah.
And I think that's what you provide. Yeah.
Wow. And you're right. He probably was saying that. He probably was saying that without having the vocabulary to say.
He didn't know the words, right?
That,
But that's what he was feeling. He was feeling that release, those tears, that crying.
Just being seen.
He needed to move that, and you provided the space for him to do that.
So let me ask you this then. As a man, this man didn't cry for 17 years. So why? And then why? Like I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I actually don't even really know why.
Well, that's a great question. Thanks for asking it, Keisha. What I have learned on my own personal journey and in working with other men is that a few things happen. One is, at a very young age, we get disconnected from our emotions, from our heart, and from our body when we are shamed for feeling, for expressing, for showing our emotions. We get told things like, oh, stop acting like a little girl, or would you man up, or how about you can come out of your room when you stop crying because big boys don't cry. So when you're ready to be a big boy, you can come out, things like that, like just shut down a man, because he may grow physically. He does. He grows physically. He may grow a big beard, get big muscles, drive a big old truck, have a wife on his arm, maybe, but he's still a little boy. A little boy who is terrified of showing how he really feels. And so it's that disconnection from his heart, from his emotions, being under the complete lie, the complete illusion that has been given him, that in order for him to be acceptable, in order for him to be a man, he can't show any signs of weakness. And crying, that's like in of course not in truth, but in this false world that we've created, crying is the epitome of weakness to a man who believes that way, who has been conditioned in that way, who has disconnected in that way. Crying is like, no way am I going to cry. So, and then who knows what more specific personal things that man has gone through that have shut him off from his feeling. But what's wild, Keisha, in you telling that story is, it's so sad to me now that I know that crying is one of the most beautiful, effective, and efficient means by which this human body has created to move energy.
Yeah, there's actual hormones in your tears.
It's just moving energy. And the tears, the actual tears that roll down our cheeks and have the potential to, because of the creases in our face, actually end up in our mouth, are medicine. They have been studied and have been shown to be biochemically altered from the time they leave our eyes to the time they come down our face and maybe go into our mouth to possess healing power. So it's but not, regardless of whether your tears are healing in that literal way. Like, the movement of the energy is so beautiful and so healing. And it's wild to think, what world have we created where we have stamped that inappropriate?
I know.
Where we have made crying a sign of weakness.
So Brandon, I struggle with that.
Yeah, we all do, Keisha. Think about it. If you start feeling heavy or strong emotions to the point of feeling the tears coming, what do almost all humans do?
Sorry.
Yep. They say something like, "I'm so sorry," and they bow their head and they cover.
Give me a minute to do this thing. I hold this thing back.
They apologize.
They apologize and they cover it up.
Yes, and I do it too. I'm like,
It's
I'm
so
so-
sad. I wish, like, Darcy can attest, and this is not to say, I'm just making the point. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not saying anything other than the point is when a man gets back online with his heart, with his body, and he begins, I like to say remembers, when he remembers how to feel, because he knew at one point before he got shut down. I cry almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Going from before your healing journey, I maybe saw you cry maybe like a total of 4 or 5 times. When our children were born, the day we got married, maybe at your cousin's funeral, your grandparents' funeral, like that was it.
Wow.
So when he started crying, I was like, you're healing, you know? And Keisha, I'm the same way. I don't cry. Like, he cries way more than I do.
Yeah.
And I try not to judge myself in that because I feel deeply. I think my body just has a different way of moving through that. But I know after I cry, I feel like, oh, so much better, you know?
Release.
Maybe there might be some blockage in there that I still need to, like, create that flow with. I mean, I cried in your yoga class, so
Yeah.
you released something in me in there.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Crying is beautiful.
Yeah.
I remember, dude, we're talking about like emotions and crying and how it's healing. And I sit here feeling like so inadequate because Race is like, for someone who doesn't cry, you do a really good job of making people cry for a lady. Like,
So you don't cry much yourself?
I don't. And, but not because I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
So maybe much like Darcy was saying, I was punished for crying growing up in a big way, much like you described, like maybe a man like pull up your bootstraps.
Yeah.
No, we don't cry in this house, you know.
Yeah.
And then so that we don't cry in this house, and so I've always been programmed that that's bad. Like crying's bad, and so I'm still entangling that. But I remember being at a funeral. My oldest son ran, had a cute little friend, Nixon Strong, if you guys have ever heard his story. He passed away of cancer, and I think he was 7. And all of our boys played football together, the Walcotts. Shout out to the Walcotts. And we're all at their funeral, and Race was heavily impacted by it. So was Ryder, but my youngest Ryder was just a crier. So he's just crying, and, you know, and Faith too, just showing all the emotion. Me and Rand are just sitting there, like as stoic as, like maybe like as if nothing had ever happened. But I know that he's feeling all of it, and he probably knows that I'm feeling all of it. But there's no communication there. It's just this, you know. So I felt compelled to send him a text after and just said, like, how do you feel, dude? And he said, my throat hurts so bad. I wanted to cry. I felt like I needed to cry, but I couldn't. And I said, me too.
Yeah, the body never lies, right? The body will always show you where you're not free, where you're not fully expressed.
Yeah.
Where it's holding something for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes just even like, I know sometimes the clients that I work with, like just literally like putting a hand over the parts of their body where they feel tension, they feel tightness, they feel activation. Literally just like offering your body that presence, like gets it moving.
It was soft.
And then all of a sudden like tears start coming, or they take like a big sigh, or their shoulders softening. And it's like, just like being able to like meet your body in that energy, just literally like placing your hand over yourself.
Wow.
Presence creates movement.
Yeah.
You know, and it's such a beautiful thing.
And to like piggyback on that, we're so disconnected from our bodies, right?
Yes.
Because from a young age, we're taught to, no, don't do that. Don't feel that. Don't be that. This is what you believe. And this is what you feel.
Yeah.
And this is how you show up. And anything else is not okay. And so then all of a sudden you're like, actually, I don't know who I am. I don't know how I should feel. I don't know how I should act. I don't know what's okay.
Yeah.
And so then you're just kind of this like
robot.
You're shaking all the time. Like, I don't know if this is okay for me to robot, like you just said, right?
Yeah.
Which I think we're all in Utah just trying to break out of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Thank God.
Thank God.
Happening
Yeah,
slowly but surely.
It's hard.
What would you, how would you describe, I'm really curious, I think both of us are, Darcy and I, to ask you this. How would you describe or explain your, if you can maybe even weave in your current beliefs and or views around spirituality with maybe what they used to be, if you want to talk about, you know, if there's been any evolution of that, of those beliefs, of that, of what you view spirituality to be, how the accident may or may not have affected that, how yoga may or may not affect that. If you can just talk for a little bit about your views of spirituality.
Dude, I would love to. Before that, would you like to, from your perspective, it would be cool for me to hear from your perspective, what was the accident? Nobody on here knows. Maybe someone's hearing this for the first time. They don't know who the fuck I am.
Yeah.
Maybe tell them. And I would love to hear from your guys' perspective what happened.
Yeah. Well, as far as I understand, it was July 24th.
July 25th.
July 25th.
2021.
2021. Okay. Near Kanosh, like in between Kanosh and Fillmore, right? Utah, where there was, where there's a lot of, like, in fact, I know exactly where it happened. There's a huge dairy farm. There's a huge farm where there's a lot of dirt, and a big windstorm came up and created a huge dust storm. And people who were driving south, I think it was just southbound, right? Not northbound. Yep. Southbound on I-15 got caught in this huge dust cloud where they just could not see. Like instantly, this huge dust cloud forms and shows up, and there was a pileup. That's what I understand.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
It's accurate. And on that day, there was a 21 car pileup. And my family was the first car to hit the semi who stopped. And so my family were 5 of the 8 who died, including my husband, Race, my son, Ryder, my sister-in-law, Courtney, my niece, Frankie, and my nephew, Riggins. And bless the 3 others. I haven't been brave enough to go there yet, but I will. And I see you, and I love you. And I'm sorry. So that day happened. So the Keisha on the day before that and the Keisha after that are much different. However, spirituality has always been interesting for me, and religion. Growing up, my family wasn't LDS. Well, they were, but they didn't go to church. We went camping on Sundays, and then eventually my oldest brother served a mission. And when he served a mission, my parents then went back to church. And but I didn't. And I still partied, and I still had fun and all the things. However, what I'm getting at with all this like background is that I never actually really had a super strong belief in a God, a man in the sky who dictated everything, because my faith in men was 0. My dad's a drug addict, my biological father, and was in and out of drug and rehab my whole life. My stepdad was very unavailable, and we had a really hard relationship. I say that with love because we're working on it, and I love him, and it was hard, and I think he could say it was hard. And he went through his own struggles and traumas that he never talked about, that I never even knew about till I was an adult. But I never believed in man. So like fast forward to now, whenever like all the women are showing up saying like, wait, men are this and men are not to be trusted and the patriarchy and this, I'm like, yeah, I've always known that. Like that is gospel to me that I've always just known. And it's so welcome to the club where, yeah, we don't trust men, you know?
Yeah.
So there's that.
So as far as spirituality being directed toward like a man God in the sky, keeping tabs on you, like making notes, no.
Yeah.
But what about like, did you ever have occasion as a young girl, as a teenager, as a young mother, anytime really in your younger let's say the first half of your life, where you, although maybe you couldn't by no means describe like who or what God is, did you ever have any experiences with what you would consider some type of divine?
Dude,
Some
yes.
type of,
And I
like,
should have gone into this too, because I did get baptized. My best friend's dad was the bishop at the time, and I got baptized, and I went on like girls' camp, and I would always get in trouble at girls' camp because I'd roll up my sleeves and
and you show your shoulders.
You were so rebellious. I showing those shoulders, Keisha.
so rebellious, dude. Put it down. If you do it one more time, you're going in the tent for 1 hour. And I was like,
Good, I want to go to the tent.
and I did. I went in the tent for an hour and almost sweat to death.
Mm.
Anyway, and then I also I went on like 5 pioneer treks.
Bless your heart. We never did that.
One
never
as a
did that.
youth. Yeah, one as a family when Ryder was a baby. Like, I've done it, dudes. And we
Yeah.
got married in the temple. And at the time, that's how I thought. That was the only way. That was the only way that I was going to get away from having the life that I didn't want, was to marry a priesthood holder. And luckily, I met an amazing one, Ray Sawyer. And his family's incredible. And I got really, really lucky. And we got married in the temple. However, my testimony of the gospel was never, ever there. But my testimony of the Spirit was always there. And that's what kept me going back. Because I tasted the Spirit. And the only way that I felt like, or was taught that I could access that, was through the church of Jesus Christ. And so I felt like, God, I really like when I feel that. I like testimony meetings whenever everyone's being vulnerable. I like the women's pull and the pioneer trek. I like those moments like after we got out of the temple and we're kissing and everyone's there, and I felt the Spirit then, and all these things that can happen anywhere, but I associated them with the gospel. Therefore it was, oh, this is the gospel, and I am bad and I can't feel it all the time. I'm not going to feel it all the time, and I don't think that I can live up to that. So maybe I'll just settle for a life of not feeling the Spirit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
So then when I got into yoga and I felt the Spirit, I was like, wait a second.
This isn't a Mormon church.
And there's no Mormon.
I'm not in a temple. I'm not in a church. I'm still feeling. So what would you call the Spirit, like, quote unquote, the Spirit now? Like, what do you think that really is?
What is the Spirit?
Like, if people can feel that, can access that anywhere.
In a yoga class.
In a yoga class.
On a mountain.
Literally anywhere.
Yeah.
What is that?
What is that? What would you define
I guess
that
in
as?
my cute little Mormon mind, it's still the Spirit,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not associated with religion.
Yeah.
But it is something inside of you that's like is it intuition? Is it inspiration? Is it angels? I wonder. And then I'm like, after Race and Ryder and Court and Frank and Reinstead, I'm like, wait, has that been angels all along? Like on the pioneer trek, like was that some like our ancestors, angels? Is that what it is? Is that what the Spirit is?
Yeah.
What would you? I don't know. What would you?
I think you just spoke to it so beautifully to, like, the difficult transition when people make when they leave religion, because I think one of the greatest harms of religion is that it takes ownership of the Spirit of your soul and says, you need me to have this. It's almost like they take your soul from you and then they try to sell it back to you at a price. And I think there's so much beauty in religion, but I think that is one of the greatest harms that it does, especially in a religion that says, I am the only way.
I'm the only way.
This is the only way. And so I know that was hard for me when we stepped away from a religion of like, well, like, what is the way? And like, what is this thing I've been feeling? Because I did feel spirituality in religion. But I gave, like you said, I gave that ownership. This must mean the church is true. Because they tell you that.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling this good while I'm in church, that means it's true,
Yep.
Really, I was just feeling self-connection. I was
Yeah.
feeling connected to something higher within myself.
Dude.
You know?
Yes, I do know. I remember I got pregnant with Faith. Faith has a different biological father than Race, although Race is dad and he always will be in forever and always. But I had to go through church disciplinary court through that experience.
I was so
I was
sorry.
literally 19. I'd never been to the temple. So I'm going through this court process, which if you don't know, it's like me and I don't know, 7 men.
At least.
The bishop, the
Sometimes,
state president,
yeah,
someone
no.
who's typing, a couple witnesses, all men, me. And they're asking me all my deepest, darkest secrets. And I'm confessing and they're typing it. And I'm sitting there and they're asking me really weird details. And
Okay, I feel so much rage right now for that. I am so sorry you had to go through that. Like,
isn't that the weirdest thing ever?
Trauma that is created in those type of situations,
Trauma.
especially for women being in this room with all these men you have no connection with.
No.
They don't even know you. And they're sitting here judging you and asking you all these questions. And you're thinking to yourself, like, my relationship with God is dependent upon these men.
It always felt so confusing.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
sitting there in that situation.
I'll validate you being on the other side. I have been one of those leaders.
Damn.
Given the authority
Yes.
to make a judgment call on the eternal salvation and church membership and all the rightful blessings of being a member of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I have been one of the men, one of the leaders in those rooms.
Wow.
And I knew the very first time, from the very first time through several times, every single time that I had to do that it was
This is
not,
off.
it was not appropriate.
It's off. Yeah.
It was not.
It felt so
not
inappropriate,
right.
but then when you're in it and you're so conditioned in it, it's like, they're not off. I am off.
Yeah.
Something is so deeply wrong with me that this should be normal and it doesn't feel normal at all, you know? So then they do their thing. And then I remember them saying like, we'll get back to you within a week when we talk to each other and we, pray and decide like what your standing in the church is. I remember going home and being like, I already feel forgiven for all of that. In my body, I already feel forgiven. So like whatever God is above or whatever has authority over, I feel like knows that my life's been kind of a shit show and that I made choices accordingly. I feel forgiven. And but now I have to wait a week to get this letter that's eventually going to say you're disfellowshipped,
So sorry.
So confusing.
Then I bet. I could only imagine. So how do you feel, Keisha, like whatever spiritual practice you had at the time or spiritual beliefs that you had at the time of your husband and your child's and your family's passing, do you feel like you had any spiritual tools that helped you through that? Or did spirituality get completely redefined for you after that? Because I hear from a lot of people who experience death in their families with a loved one that shifts a lot for them after somebody they love dies. And I'm curious what that was like for you.
It's fascinating, right? Like, why would it shift like that? Because you think if you're devout, then it would shift. Like you're gonna go all in. Like now I'm gonna clean the temple every week, and I'm gonna whatever. And it's never that. Like if you're on the outside looking in, it's never that. It's usually the opposite. And for me, it was like, I'm so glad. For me, when the accident happened, I'd been out of the church for 7 years-ish, all the way up. Tattoos, I had all these, like race designed my tattoos.
Aww.
Which is a really cool
That's awesome.
thing that I have now. But so I was all the way out. I can't imagine what it would have felt like to be in the church experiencing that. Like the turmoil that probably would have gone on in my body, the guilt, the shame, the fear, and any member listening to me is gonna be like, oh, she's so lost. And I get it. And I have so much compassion for it because I know I've been there where it's like, oh, we gotta save him. It's not like that. It's actually I felt the complete opposite. I'm so glad I did the work on myself so that I can be here and I can breathe. Because breath was the only thing that was going to save me. It didn't have anything to do with God. I didn't feel mad at God. It wasn't like that. It was more of like a, gosh, but if I can just breathe one more breath, and I'm going to stay one more. And I'm going to stay one more time. I'm going to breathe another breath, and I'm going to stay one more time. It felt kind of like that for me.
So breath was your spiritual tool at the time.
Breath.
Yeah.
And
Even if you call it spirituality, but it was a tool that you utilized
totally.
to help you.
And maybe that's the spirit.
What's interesting
Yeah.
is, I was just going to say,
What does
is
the
that-
spirit mean, breath?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, is that what you're saying?
No, it's like,
And I didn't know that.
You think about like, yeah, it's often referenced that the breath is the spirit of life.
Mm-hmm.
Mana, life force, pranayama.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating.
Yeah. And it was interesting too to see the people in my life who are in the gospel, most of them, and witnessing the way that everyone grieves different, but witnessing the way that shame showed up was interesting. And I'm so grateful that I didn't have the shame part, that I just had the agony part.
What was the shame
You know?
part?
Yeah, what would the shame have
Curious
been?
what that is.
Yeah, the shame part being like, oh, I wish I would have driven. I wish I would have
Like
I could have
survivor, what do they call
survivor's
it?
guilt.
Survivor's guilt.
In any way could
or
have
like,
saved.
or even, did you feel like, is there any sense of, or any experience with yourself of like, just following up with this question I have about like, what is the shame that you would feel? Is it related at all to like how you wish you would have been with them
Yes.
while they were here?
Yes. Yeah.
That seems like that would be hard.
Impossible. I feel so grateful. This is, if I did believe in a God, I would get on my knees and just praise him all day, every day, and just like, thank you that I was in a place where we were so good. Me and Race were so good. We were the best that we'd ever been in our whole marriage. There were hard times in our marriage. I don't pretend that it was perfect. It's really ugly and hard and rocky, and we hurt each other and lied to each other and betrayed each other and had to forgive each other over and over and over, right? Just like every relationship. But we were so good. So good that, in fact, I kept saying, like, you can't die. Like, I can't do this with anyone else. And he'd be like, you're silly. And with Ryder, I wrote him a letter right before he left. There was no doubt that they knew that I loved them unconditionally. I can't imagine what the gospel principles or what the church might do to somebody's mind in that situation of like, did I teach them enough? Did I tell them enough? Did they know enough?
Yeah.
Were they righteous enough?
Were they righteous enough?
Yeah, I think that's a big one of like, were they living worthy?
Yeah,
To be able to enter God's presence, fearing their afterlife situation.
totally. I ran into someone on a trail once recently, just a random guy, and he was so friendly, and we ended up having a conversation about death for some reason. Just passerby, and I happened to tell him, which I usually don't, that I lost my husband and son, and he said, "Well, were you married in the temple?" And I said, "Yeah, we were married in the temple." And he said, "Well, thank goodness." And so now you have nothing to worry about. And I remember walking away from that conversation being like, oh, that would be so easy. So if it was just that, like, thank goodness, and you're good now.
Quick pause before we continue. One of the biggest things I see is that people try to change their lives from the mind, but the nervous system is what actually determines what feels safe, possible, and sustainable. That's why I created my somatic repatterning audios. They're short, guided practices designed to help your body release old survival loops and create new patterns through sensation and embodied awareness. If you're ready to move from insight into real integration, you can access the audio library through the link in the show notes. All right, let's continue.
How do you handle, are you ever in situations, Keisha, where maybe I guess it doesn't have to be a member of the Mormon faith, but someone who maybe is more religious may say something like, in reference to your lost loved ones, that it's okay, they're in a better place.
Yeah.
Or it was their time, like it was their time. God needed them for some reason more than you did, and they're in a better place. Does that happen to you?
Yeah. It happened a lot at first. A lot. It's okay. Like, I'm not worried for you. I'm like, not worried for them. They're where they're supposed to be. I'm just worried for you guys and how you're gonna handle it. It was their time. Like all the classic things, which just felt like,
Yeah, it was not helpful to you.
not any part helpful. It actually just feels like a hole in your stomach that you can't. It's like you want to crawl out of your skin but can't, and want to throw it at them. Like I want to crawl out of my skin so that you can see my soul, but I want to throw my skin at you so that you can just feel how much that hurt. Right
I
there.
bet.
I don't know.
And it's like, what God would need my family more than me?
Yeah.
An
And
all-powerful, all-knowing being
yes.
that would actually need my people more than me myself.
100%.
You know?
And my son, yeah, he's my best friend. We need each other. Like how do you assume that him living anywhere other than with me is going to be better? I don't know. It's hard. And then I also know that people come from love. They're trying their best. I remember trying to like console people when they lost people, probably said stupid shit. We're in a better place. Or, I would cringe at that.
Everybody's, I think, trying their best.
They are.
That's the wild thing is we can talk about all these discrepancies in beliefs and like how we view the world and you know, it's so different one person to another. At the end of the day, I think everybody is given where they are at in their life, their level of consciousness, the depths at which they have met themselves, they're doing their best.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of compassion and love comes in. But it's also where like you can take that awareness and you can do something with it. When you're being offered this type of like, if you're listening and you're like, oh my gosh, I've actually said that to people before. Okay, what can I do with that? That's where like consciousness comes into play and awareness. Because I remember one of my dear friends lost her sister to cancer. She had 3 beautiful children. She was young and she had so many people. And I think this came out to me after the funeral. And I probably was even the one of them that said to her is like, but probably the same thing. Oh, like they're taken care of. Like, I'm sure they're in a better place. Like all the things. Because that's what I knew. That's what I was taught happened to people, you know, and that's what I was taught and shown to say to people when they die. And anyways, we both went to through a faith discretion journey together. But she was telling me after that was like a huge catapult for her actually wanting to step away from religion.
Wow.
Death in her family like that because of that, of like this no longer makes sense to me. And I don't feel good about this anymore, having lived it actually. But I was able to see that of like, yeah, that actually is not helpful to say to somebody when they die, you know?
I think I would just guess that it would be partly because the beliefs of the person saying it are so fixed and strong, like they can't see that there could be any other way that, you know, that this gospel is true and that it's God's way and it's the way that like the family can be together and all the things. If they just cannot see, they cannot imagine there being any other way. It seems like it makes sense that they would be like, oh, they're in a better place.
And you can appreciate the love that they come from.
Yeah, for sure.
But if that person saying that could just for a second, like they honor your belief, that's great. Honor your belief.
Yep.
And
Consider.
Can you just consider that there could be something? I know that's so hard for someone in a high demand religion where it's like, you know, so black and white, so like, this is the way, this is the only way.
Yeah. And they think they're offering hope. And that's where we meet them with compassion again.
Yeah.
But you're right. But Keisha, I'm curious, like, obviously I can imagine the depth of grief that you held. And I'm curious how you have held that and moved through that, probably how you're still moving through that. Does grief ever even fully go away? I don't think so, especially after something you've experienced. But I'm curious what you have to say about that.
Dude. Grief doesn't go away, and it for sure intensifies. But kind of like waves, they come in and they go, and they come in and they go. And I haven't figured out how to. I'm just gonna say this because I trust you guys, and we can just be real here. I feel like it took me 4 years. We're coming up on 5. In July, I think it took me 4 years to just accept that race was gone. Just that I'm not gonna apologize for my emotions. I'm just gonna say thank you for holding me here. But I think it took me that long to just accept that like he wasn't coming back. And so now in my body I'm like, oh, I guess Ryder's not coming back either. So I think the way that people might assume you grieve is that like you just grieve it all at once. You just grieve it all up front. Time goes by and you're better. And I think that's maybe the hardest misconception is that time goes by and you're worse. Because now I sit at home like trying to talk to Race and being like, you're not letting Ryder come. You're not gonna let Ryder come back, you know. And I don't sit in poor me. I only say that because I think that on the rare occasion that you lose a lot of people at once, there's like a guilty part of you that's like, oh, I didn't get to grieve Ryder yet. I've been grieving Race. Or I didn't get to grieve Court or, you know, Frankie or Riggins. I've been grieving Race. And I remember hearing from someone saying he had a spouse who took her own life, and he was saying it took me 10 years to feel normal. I'm thinking, how long until I'm going to feel normal? And what is normal? You know, and normal's not really a thing. So your question is like, what does grief look like? And does it ever go away? Hell no. It never goes away. But I think that's why it's here. I think it doesn't go away because we all have to experience it. And it's the one way if we're willing to be, like Mason is a beautiful example of like someone who's willing to be vulnerable in his grief. And so everyone feels connected to him because he's honest. And he's ugly about it. And he's not ugly. He's like so handsome. But he's beautiful and raw and honest in his grief. And so everyone feels connected to him. They want more of him and they want to hear from him. And most people just shove it down because what we're taught is it's embarrassing if you hold on to that and you can't move on. Get a fucking hold of yourself and move on. Because life keeps moving. So,
and I think that's just, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I think that's like spiritual bypassing, and I think that's bypassing your humanity. And Keisha, I think the thing that you spoke to is like, I just want to feel quote unquote normal. Like there's such, Gabor Mate, a myth of normal in our culture of what is normal. People walking around as robots, no feeling, no emotion, bypassing everything they're feeling, just I'm okay, everything's fine. That's what's not normal.
Yeah.
What's normal, Keisha, is feeling. What's normal is never letting grief leave your body because you're a human and feeling that and expressing that and being with it.
Wow.
Like that is what's human. That is what is normal. And we've become so judgmental of ourselves and our emotions and our humanity because of that. We can't even be human around each other anymore because it's like
all these conditioned beliefs.
All these conditioned beliefs of, oh, they're crying, there's something wrong with them. Like,
oh, they can't move on.
Yeah, exactly.
How embarrassing for them.
Exactly. And why should you have to move on from it? I don't think you should have to.
Yeah.
Why would you want to move on from one of the most beautiful things about your life? And probably the space where you're trying to move on is probably where all the harm is done. Because you're trying to escape something that you should never have to escape.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
So I thank you so much for speaking to that and naming that, because I think that's so important for people to hear, whether they've lost somebody or not. What really defines what is quote unquote normal in our world?
Ooh, what is normal?
You know? And I think numbness
is normal.
Disconnection.
Normal.
Like not being human, not being real, not being messy. It's like you said, people are so drawn to Mason because he's messy and he's real and he's human and he is alive. That's what's like so connecting, like honest. What you said. Yes.
I think the biggest thing being honest, I think like we talk about this a lot, is that like people in a religious situation, they won't be honest, but they'll go to Mexico and get fucking high and drunk. But they'll hide it forever. But it's okay because it was in Mexico. But if you're honest about it, yeah, sometimes on Sundays I have a drink. Or if I'm at a ball game, then they're like, so you're an alcoholic then, or whatever it is. Honesty. I think honesty is the winner. And honesty, I think, is what's kept me and my kids so close. Is I'm like, here's the gift that the accident gave me. If there's any gift, is that there was no more like, I'm not going to try to pretend to be any mother that I'm not. I'm not going to try to pretend to hold you to any standard that you cannot. I'm just going to let you grieve and be and do whatever you need to, as long as you'll let me to. And so then we both became human.
Yeah.
I'm the parent and you're the child, but we're best friends, and we're just going to be human. And if you'll hold me, I'm going to hold you. And so I think that one of the biggest gifts is that my kids and I were honest with each other, maybe even uncomfortably so, right? But it feels like from an outsider perspective, looking at people parent their kids, I'm like, no. Not that I have it all figured out. I'm still learning and growing, but like, what if you just were honest with them?
What has that done for your relationship with Ran and Faith?
Literally changed everything. As soon as I decided, like, I'm just gonna tell them the truth. Like,
You don't have to always be the strong one. You don't have to always have it held together. You just you're real with them.
and
they're real with you.
I promise it's reciprocal. If you feel like it's not going to be, I promise you'll be surprised if you're willing to just be. There was a situation where, this is an embarrassing part of my journey that I don't talk about a lot, but there was a situation where I got real dark and I just hated myself and I didn't want to be alive. And
Sorry, was this
this was after the accident.
Okay.
And it was probably 8 months, 10 months after. And I had a hard time getting out of bed. And anyway, I had taken some Ambien to try to sleep. And there was like a plant on my nightstand. And I don't actually remember a lot of it. But I just remember waking up to blood all over. But I had just taken that pot and just ran my face with it. And also there was a razor blade in my drawer, and I just cut my face all up. Which in my right mind, I'd never do that to my face, like anywhere else. I've never been a self-harmer, but in whatever version of myself that I was in that moment, I just didn't want to be in my body, and I thought that I could beat my way out of it. And I remember waking up with blood and calling a friend, and then the friend calling Race's family, who came over to be there with me. And I remember having the moment where I'm like, I'm gonna have to go out and see my kids. And I have like a grapefruit size thing on my face, and I'm all bloody, and like, I'm gonna have to go look at them. And like initially, like, what lie could I tell them? Like, what fight did I get in? And I was bad. You should see the other person. Or like, so I walked out, and Faith and Ryan are in the living room. And they looked at me like, oh, what happened? And I said, I did this. And Ryan goes, why? And he's probably 15 at the time. Why would you do that? Just mad. I'm like, I don't know, buddy, I'm sorry. And I'm really sad, and this is embarrassing. But in my ability to be full disclosure, I think it opened up this avenue for them to be like, she's human. And look at her be messy and be honest. And yeah, I feel like our relationship grew that day, even though that was really hard and embarrassing. And there were a lot of times where I regretted, like, I should have just said something else. I should have just lied. And Rand's pissed at me. He's going to hate me forever, But instead, I think me and Rand we're building a beautiful relationship on trust and honesty and transparency.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much.
As we talked earlier, you shouldn't want to or need to move on from one of the most beautiful parts of your life that you lost. But Keisha, I'm curious, how do you both honor them,
Mm-hmm.
the time you had with them, their memory, their legacy, their spirit, and continue to live your life? How do you,
So
how do you
hard.
do that?
That's so hard, right? I remember talking to a guy, and it was 2 years after, and I wasn't super into him, but we're texting, and he's kind of fun. He's like tiptoes out of the church. I'm like, it's just interesting to see people's journey. And I said something like, he asked me to go on a date, and I said something like, well, I don't know, I'm still like, whatever. And he said, oh, I just figured it's been 2 years, so you're over it by now. Right? And so I remember at that point being like, oh yeah, here's the perspective, here's reality, and how am I going to keep living and also living? You know, Grace's theme or mantra that he lived by was live wild. Live with integrity, love, determination. So it's not like actually live wild, like live and go drink and go be merry and be happy. He actually Race never drank at all ever in his whole life or did any drugs.
So live wild. Say it again.
Live with integrity,
integrity,
love,
and
determination.
That's awesome. I like
Pretty
that.
cool.
Yeah.
But how do I keep living? Some of my non-negotiables, some of the things that I live by are like, I won't ever sacrifice I think in a former version of myself, it was a lot of like, I'm going to do that because that's going to make that person happy. I'm going to do that because that's the right thing to do. In my now body, I'm like looking for ways to make other people happy because it makes me feel good, but also never sacrificing the ultimate goal, which is to like have peace and have a good relationship with my kids, which it wasn't always that. If that makes sense. Usually it would be like, how do I people please it and look the part rather than I want to be that part. I want to be it. I want to be peace. I want to bring peace. I want my kids to be proud of me. I want to have safety where they feel like they can trust me, but it's not about any image and everything that it used to be too was image. Look at me. I'm the strongest. I'm the fastest. I'll kick your ass. And that's all there is to it, you know?
You're not alone in that. That's how most of us end up living our lives. Managing the perceptions of others, right?
Yeah.
Keisha, do you have anything you want to follow up with that question? Or?
No, go ahead.
Do you have any intention of entering back into like committed, devoted, serious relationship, or maybe speak for just a little bit as we wrap up about any perceptions, beliefs, views you have about modern men? I'm personally, selfishly, very curious to know, because of the work that I do with men, how you view men, how you viewed men. Maybe if you want to talk about, like, you already kind of did in the beginning, you talked about how you really did not trust men, so you didn't therefore believe in a man God.
And rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
For sure. But I'm just curious to know how you view men now, the modern men, like men in today's world. Where do you see men at, or what's your experience with them?
It's a cool question. I thought about this the most while I'm like preparing. I'm like putting on a bandana because I'm like, I want to be as cool as Darcy, first of all.
Oh my
You guys
gosh.
are so good.
I'm serious though.
shoulders.
And then I'm like,
you guys and Axl Rose, there's never been
Yeah.
anybody to rock the bandana better.
and
I
I
can't go
I'm
about-
thinking, how do I speak as eloquently as they do? How do I
No.
speak to the modern man? And then I quickly shut that off to like, hey, this is what my therapist always says. Shout out to Matt Quackenbush. He's always like, hey, shut the brain off. Come back here.
Yeah. Good. He's
Sorry.
good. He knows what he's doing there.
I'm like, yes, I'm like, hold my heart, like, hold your heart. And like, now what do you want to say? Like, soften my shoulders. And to that, I say this. I was so fortunate to be married to an amazing human like Race. These aren't just words. If anyone knows the Sawyers, they know that Race was one of a kind.
Hmm.
And like I said, it didn't come without its challenges. But the more that I've dated or experienced other men in today's modern world, I realized, man, he's one of a kind.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
The loyalty. He's raised by a therapist. Mason and Race's dad is therapist, family therapist, and so they have this really cool quality that they see all angles of every situation. They're never biased. They're very unselfish, very like calm. Like we used to always joke, if Faith came home pregnant, I would freak out. But if we couldn't find the remote, Race would freak out. Like just silly things like that. Like, but it's just so cool, calm, and collected. Just an amazing man. And I've experienced probably all of it since, I guess it's going to be 5 years in July. When I first started getting out there, it was just me drinking and numbing and being taken advantage of. And to those men, I'm like embarrassed for you. I'm embarrassed for you. You know who I am. You know who I was. I'm sad for you. I have compassion for them. And then now I find myself in situations where I have to be really careful of not trying to be a savior, because I had a really deep love. I had a really amazing, intense, deep love with Race that never really ended. It just can. I think it will continue to go on forever. And not that I compare everyone to him, but that's what I knew for 2 decades. And so I'm learning about men. And what I know about men now is that, dude, Brandon, 90% of men, not kidding, are dishonest. They're dishonest in relationships. They're dishonest with themselves, with their children, with everything. And I feel alien in it. I feel like everyone's numb. Men. I feel like men are numb. I feel like men don't care to show up for women. I feel like there's too many options. They don't care about commitment or relationship. And so it just feels very icky. And so because I've experienced a lot of icky, I find myself in this situation where I am in a relationship in the moment, and I have to fight a lot of my own stuff. A lot of like, is that real? Or is that your trust issues? And so I don't know. The answer to that question has so many layers. I think we could talk for days. But the modern man scares me.
Safe to say, at least, Keisha, that the modern man has some work to do.
So much work to do, dude.
So good. In coming into this conversation, I wanted so badly to know, because of, like I said, the work that I do, what your perspective has been on that. Thank you for sharing that. And I just want to add that, like, I don't want to pile on top of these men that are, I don't want to pile on top of them shame. Like, we watched a movie recently that I had seen before, but Darcy had not, that is so good, and maybe you've seen it.
What is it?
Scent of a Woman.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
You got to watch it, Kay.
Okay,
There's a
tonight.
point in the movie where this man, I won't give a lot of it away, but basically a man is battling, he's blind, he's battling alcoholism, he was in the military, and so he's got a lot of PTSD, and just he's lonely. He has nobody.
Did you say that he was blind? Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's
wow.
blind, and he's basically he's in a moment of wanting to take his own life, and he has this one friend who shows up, and the blind man yells at him as his friend is trying to like save his life. I'm bad. And his friend said, you're not bad. You're just in pain.
Mm.
And so I just want to offer that as to the men that are listening, that like, we have a lot of work to do, men. But it's not with shame that we say that. We say that with love. We say that with seeing your power, your gifts, your potential, what you can offer this world, what you can offer women and children and yourself. And you're not bad. You're in pain. And a lot of you don't know it.
Yeah.
A lot of you don't even know it. You're just running on autopilot. Like you said, Keisha, numbing, distracting, being disconnected, running after the dollar or the next fling, the next woman, the next toy, whatever. And you're not bad. You're just in a lot of pain.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Is how do you get that man who's in pain, who's numbing, who doesn't realize that it's pain anymore? Like, how do you get them to, like, what would be your advice to, like, jolt them?
I wish if I could create a way to jolt them, Keisha, you can't.
We can't.
There is no way that I'm aware of, please correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone knows differently, where you can force another human being to heal.
I agree.
No, I mean, I think, unfortunately, people have to hit literal rock bottom, and hopefully that rock bottom doesn't mean death. But I think for a lot of men, it takes that to losing everything.
Wow.
Before they realize, okay, like I have some work to do here. And I think like that pain that you spoke to in men, I want to make sure that we say that like that pain is no excuse for bad behavior.
No, it's definitely not an excuse.
And I know that's not what you're saying.
Yeah.
But pain is no excuse for the way that men have treated you.
Right.
For the way it sounded like you grew up with a non-present dad. Like,
I just wanted to make sure we didn't heap and pile shame on top of it already.
No, that's where I was going. It's like, it's not an excuse, but it is an explanation. And I think that's where out of everything that's going on right now in the world and everything that's being exposed at the hands of masculine pain, is that the feminine are going to have to come to this place within themselves of massive forgiveness. And it's like, who do you forgive? Because where does it go? It keeps on going. Like, well, I hurt you because my dad hurt me and his dad hurt him, and like, where do you filter that anger? And that we have no choice but to be in your heart space and to recognize the wounds of everybody. Everybody projects their wounds, even women, many times too, onto men and onto other people. But it just I think it's the only way to heal this dynamic and this thing that's going on right now is like, and I think that's one of the most beautiful things that actually like an embodied feminine, like healthy feminine has to offer right now.
Yeah.
Is that containment within herself, that she can be so contained that she can offer that in this world that we need right now. And I'm not meaning forgive your abuser. I'm not telling anybody to do what with that.
Totally.
But it's like I was telling my daughter the other day, I was like, forgiveness is not for the other person. It is for yourself. It's to free yourself, And if you can look at it in that way, like, I'm not excusing what you did to me.
Yeah.
I experienced sexual abuse at the hands of a man.
Right.
And it's the forgiveness was like for myself. So, yeah, I think that's what's going to be required in the world right now, and for all these dynamics to heal with each other,
Me too.
creating that instead of separation. Like, our anger is not going to help.
Totally.
I mean, feel it. Feel the rage. We just talked about this in our last episode. But be contained with it and not continue to spread hate and spread all men are bad and all men are evil and we're like our world is hopeless because men aren't going to be capable of healing. And
Yeah, good job. Now what?
yeah, like you
Good
believe
job.
that.
Right.
You believe that. That's the only thing you will see.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of believing like there's hope and what evidence do I have of men who actually do the work and heal and are being leaders of like healthy masculinity in the world. You know, we need to like put all that anger and that rage and that attention toward that.
All right.
Toward how do we heal our boys, you know?
Well, let me tell you that because I have a boy who I love him so much, and he is the epitome of a really wounded boy who won't ever talk about it. And bless his heart, there's been like maybe 2 or 3 moments where he's talked about it in 5 years. But his escape is working out, and it's football, and it's all those things. And here's what I want to say to women who are trying to jolt the men is just freaking love them hard. It doesn't mean you have to be codependent on them. Doesn't mean you have to be walked all over or disrespected, but you can still love them. And the more that you love, the more that you're going to see them wanting to emulate love.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like
Such
what
a
you
good
said, like
point.
men aren't going to, you can't heal in shame.
Yeah.
You can't.
You can't. And so that I'm so thankful that you voiced that this isn't to perpetuate more shame in men, that they already hold so much in their bodies already. We're not trying to like make that more. But
yeah, also Brandon and Darcy, if I could just speak to you guys really quick, I don't know you guys very well. This is like one of the first times I've been able to sit with you and get to know you, but like I've seen sort of your evolution through yoga, through Instagram, like the little glimpses that I get, but what I see is so freaking potent that I just have to speak to it really quick, because just imagine being in this yoga studio in this space and this beautiful woman's just lying there in child's pose and her amazing man is just caring to her. No one else is present in the room. It feels like it's just the two of them, and they have this connection that there's almost like a beam that's just around them, and it's so felt and palpable. And for me, it was like, I hope every man in this room is witnessing this moment that these people have worked hard to have, and I hope they feel it. And no doubt it was felt by me, and no doubt it was felt by everyone else. And so the work that you guys are doing is, whether it's spoken or not, it's so unbelievably felt. And thank you for bringing that to my space.
Thank you.
thank you for saying that. Thank you.
I just want to, if I can, piggyback on just real quick your question, Keisha, as to what can you do to jolt someone into like a healing journey.
Yes.
I stand by what I said. Like, you can't force anyone to heal, but I will say, if I may direct your question back to the women, meaning you're asking me, let's say, what a woman can do to perhaps help her husband heal or her man heal, is, I believe, and you please, you guys are women, you speak to this better than I, but it just seems to me like if there is anything that you can do, it is love yourself enough. To the women, love yourself enough to walk away if needed. You love yourself so much that you will not tolerate certain things.
We had to have that conversation.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I would love to know more if you.
Yeah, I mean, we were at a really rocky road in our relationship. Like, yeah, you speak to like what we've been able to create now. Like, we went through hell to get there,
I can feel that.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And there were definitely times where like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to make this work. Like, we're just not, like, we're not being able to like meet and see each other the way that we need to see each other to be able to move through this. But I will say, like, one thing that I have always had within myself is, and I don't know how this came about, and I'm so grateful I have it, because I realized a lot of people don't have that, is that I've always really loved myself. And it's not coming from a place of like arrogance or like, oh, I think I'm better than anybody else.
You have not 1 ounce of arrogance.
Yeah, no,
I hope not.
genuinely.
But like I've always, and I'm sure it comes from like my beautiful parents raising me with that. I don't know where that was really sourced from, but I have always like loved myself. And I had that conversation with you. It was like, and it was so hard for you to hear, I remember, because you were taking that as, I don't want you and I don't love you. But in that moment, I was like, no, like I love me so much that I demand better and I won't tolerate that. And I think in that moment, he was like, yeah, you're right.
Wow.
And also
That
like,
really hit me hard. But it was, yeah.
You have to do the work
That's the jolt.
for yourself, though.
yeah.
But there can be jolts, there can be stimulations and, catalysts for a man to do the work. And one of them is for the woman to be so, like, because she is doing her own work on herself, she has come to a place, she has met herself, all of herself, at her depths, and accepted. She loves herself so much. And like you said, it's not arrogance. It's a deep, genuine love that she will not tolerate this bullshit that these man boys are some of them putting them through. These grown-ass men acting like little boys in a relationship. And you women out there, you just have to be able to love yourself enough to walk away if you need to.
Yeah, I needed to hear that. And that's so much harder.
Yeah, it's hard.
But
Really hard.
Easier said than done.
easier said than done, but beautiful. And I needed to hear that. And I know that the world freaking needed to hear that. I have several of my best girlfriends going through the same situation where it's like, gosh, when is it you surrender? Or you keep, I'm a fighter, you just keep fighting, you keep win. Or when
You're
you just be like,
abandoning yourself, though.
then you abandon yourself.
Yeah, but a woman can only fully surrender when she feels safe.
Right.
Like men want so bad for women to surrender. Like they want all of us.
Totally.
They want our aliveness. Like the most beautiful thing about the feminine is her ability to be so self-expressed and so alive in her body through the way that she dances, through her art, through her expression, through the way that she creates beauty in her home. Like men want that
The
so
way that
bad.
she
Makes love.
Yes.
Like men want, like I want, like you always say this, a lady, what do you say?
Every man wants a lady in the streets, but a freak in the sheets.
So in order for that to happen, though, men don't realize she has to feel safe with you.
100%.
Like whether she's conscious of it or not, she is always asking that question. And her you don't have to say a word. It's how she feels around you that will open up that expression in her.
So then, men, your number one goal is to make sure your woman feels safe with you.
Yes.
That's the number one.
Number
thing.
one.
Number
That's
one.
your number one.
And
Yes.
men, if you don't know what that even means, give me a call.
Every man in my life.
Because a woman cannot feel safe with a grown-ass man who's actually stuck in perpetual boyhood emotionally. Like she just can't. And so if you don't know what is going on in your dynamic, but you know something is off, hit me up on Instagram. I'll help you out.
Please, I sponsor that.
I think before we close, Keisha, we have just a couple things like we want to end our episodes with our guests of asking how we can see you.
Beautiful.
And then also that would be probably the last thing, but the first question I would ask before we end is what, if any, what you can offer somebody who has gone through a similar experience to you, which there's lots of people out there who have experienced death or a loss the way that you have. Like, what can you offer them in this space to be able to help, to help them or help them feel seen by you? And then how can we, Brandon and I, see you right now?
What can I offer anyone who might be going through the unimaginable would probably be, first of all, come to my yoga class. You don't have to do any yoga, but I'll hold you so tight. Not physically, but emotionally, I'll just hold you. But on the real, I would probably say let people help you. Be humble. I know everything in you wants to say like, no, I'm good. No, I don't know what I need. Just say, please help me in any way that you can. I surrender to whatever you feel like I need. I don't know what I need because I need everything. I surrender to that. I trust you, but please help me. Like, be willing to say, just please help me. That's what I would say. And how you guys can see me is, I feel like you do a really good job of that already, first of all. See me in that my intentions are always pure. My love is so freaking full for you and the work you do, and I stand by every bit of it. How you can see me is just to keep loving me. Love me through all of the ugly ups and downs and ins and outs of what I'm trying to create and move through.
All right.
Amen. Thank you,
Thank you,
Keisha. Love
Keisha.
you so much.
Free to be me, free to sing, sweet feathers envelop me like a